Schutz. Please join me in saluting our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I would like to thank Jan Lynn Schutz, who is the wife of our soon-to-be promoted Lieutenant Tom Schutz, because not only for doing this, but for all the hours that you give to this community, sharing your voice with them at community events and many events that honor police officers. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody for being here. I'd like to congratulate our promotees. I'd like to welcome their families. I'd like to welcome, say hello to the officers from our department who are here, members of the public who are here to help us celebrate this great occasion at the Orangetown Police Department. Early this year, we've had 5 retirees, and these promotions tonight reflect replacement of those positions. I would just like to go on record saying I'd like to thank the officers who retired. They'll be honored later at an award ceremony later in the year for their many years of service. We also, later in this year, will be filling some new positions. So I just want to say that, one thing that our retirees, our promotees, and the officers who aren't here yet, who will be hired, all have in common is that most of them grew up in the community. Although they went to school in the community, most of them went away to college, some served in the military. Most of them came home with the desire of becoming an Orangetown police officer. And the thing is, and that's one of the things that makes our department so community-oriented and a really great department. I just want to tell you that this is going to be the protocol for tonight, because I know we have a lot of family members there here tonight. I'm going to talk briefly about each of the people being retired, starting with the lieutenants, work my way down to sergeants. I'm then going to call them up, they're going to salute me, at which point the family members should come up, who are going to assist in the pinning of the badge, and then the other family members who want to take pictures should be in position right around here. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kind of put this in your family album, so please take advantage of it, and that's part of the idea behind this ceremony. The first person I'm going to speak about first, then the town board is going to vote on the resolution, would be Tom Schutz. Tom started his career in 1995 at the Orangetown Police Department. He's been here nearly 20 years. I also just want to add, you met his wife, Jan, but his mom is here also, Mrs. Schutz. And I should add that we all proudly work out of police headquarters over there on the other side of the building, Tom's father, Bill Schutz, who's no longer with us, but I'm sure looking down tonight, was the person who was the clerk of the works who got that project started and finished. And so, Tom, you now work in the building that your father helped build. So you must be very proud of that. Tom went to Albertus Magnus High School. He attained a degree at Dominican College, But many of you might know him as Tommy Dunn because he does much volunteer work singing throughout the community, even over at the Veterans Park. He's well known in the Blauvelt community through his work with the Knights of Columbus, the Blauvelt Library, and the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick. At the department, Tom is an instructor at the Police Academy, teaches ethics. He's a field training sergeant helping to break in the new officers that come on board. And before he was promoted to sergeant in 2004, he was a Nyack community police officer. Tom, if you could come up. Congratulations, Tom. So invite the Schutz family up. I would just like to say at this time that the officers will be sworn in by Supervisor Andy Stewart, and that Charlotte Madigan, who has not missed any police ceremony in probably 20 years, could not be here tonight for a good reason, and she asked me to extend her regards to all of the people being promoted.
Do you want to do the swearing in and then the vote?
Oh, we have to do the vote first. I'm sorry. I always make the mistake of leaving that out.
I'll make a motion to open this public meeting. Can I have a second on that? Valentine, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, I need a motion for the promotion of Thomas Schutz.
I'd like to make a motion to promote Thomas Schutz to lieutenant.
And a second from Troy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. It's my pleasure to swear you in today, Lieutenant. If you could just repeat after me. I, Thomas Schutz, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
I, Thomas Schutz, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Police Lieutenant
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Police Lieutenant
in the town of Orangetown, County of Rockland, State of New York,
in the town of Orangetown, County of Rockland, State of New York,
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Can I get a picture of that?
It's always a little tricky to get that pin through there. Well done, well done.
He's- The next candidate I'm going to talk about is Sergeant Mike Boise. Now, that's a story in itself. In all my years on the police department, on March 3rd, Sergeant Boise was to be promoted, but we had a big snowstorm, and his wife, his children, and several members of the town board and the police administration were the only ones there. So he said, Mike, we're going to do a retake on April 14th. But let me tell you something about Mike. Mike started his police career with the New York State Police. He came to the Orangetown Police in 2002. He attended St. Thomas Aquinas College, where he received honors, and he played on the baseball team. Mike is a field training officer, and he's been to many schools in our department, and he's been a sergeant for about the past month. And but tonight he's going to be officially sworn in. Mike, if you come up, and we'll invite your family also. Boise family, come up. to do it on?
No, not in this one.
Would someone like to make a motion to promote Officer Boise?
It's in the right.
It's
Right.
on the last page of the-
You're right. Actually, he's.
Oh, no,
Sorry,
no,
that one
yeah,
was
I'm
already done. Sorry.
That's right. we just do it.
Again, it is my honor to swear you in tonight. Thought I was on the right track there.
Oh, you are on the right track. Sorry about that.
Just repeat after me. I, Michael Boise, do solemnly swear
I, Michael Boyes, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Police Sergeant
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Police Sergeant
in the town of Orangetown, County of Rockland, State of New York,
in the town of Orangetown, County of Rockland, State of New York,
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Well done.
Mike, congratulations, Mike. Say hello to town board. Say hello to town board too. The next officer to be promoted to the rank of sergeant is Officer Kerry Lynn Schiller. Now, Kerry, I can remember when I first got a letter from her deputy inspector in New York City Police when she's there, what a great recommendation he gave her, and it was very true, everything he said. She came up to the Orangetown Police in 2004. She had been a graduate of Manhattan College with a degree in accounting, and for several years she even helped us with the police budget, so I always appreciate that, Kerry. But some of her main duties here at the Orangetown Police is that she's an accident investigator, actually an accident reconstruction investigator. She is a crime prevention officer. She was a community police officer in Pearl River, and also do that great recommendation I got from the New York City Police, a traffic officer for many years when we had a dedicated traffic unit. Kerry, I wish you best of luck in your future years here, and could you please come up? Could I ask the Schiller family come up, and anybody who's going to take pictures?
Andy, we need to vote.
Do I hear a motion to promote Carrie Lynn Schiller?
I'll move it. Move
Motion
it.
from Moore, second from Troy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Congratulations. I will do this. My honor to swear you in tonight. You repeat after me. I, Carrie Lynn Schiller, do solemnly swear
I, Carrie Lynn Schiller, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of New York,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Police Sergeant
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Police Sergeant
in the town of Orangetown, County of Rockland, State of New York,
in the town of Orangetown, County of Rockland, State of New York,
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Kerry. Good luck. And our last person to be elevated to sergeant is the police officer Anthony Palazzola. Anthony started his career actually with the New York City Police, did a very short career with them. We kind of knew that before he went there, he was going to be coming up here, so they saved us the academy, actually. And came up here in 2007. Anthony is a member of our accident investigation team. He's a member of the department's honor guard. He's part of a very important committee we formed in the past couple of years called the Technology Committee to keep us up to speed with many issues in technology. And through his military and other training, that is something that has been very useful to us. He attended Berklee College of Music in Massachusetts. And I would also say that one thing that I always like to say at these ceremonies, I'd like to thank him for his military service. He's a sergeant in the military police, having served in both Iraq and Afghanistan. Let's have a round of applause for that. And I'll, just one more thing I'm going to say about Anthony. Anthony was honored last week by the American Legion for his dedicated years of work in traffic safety here in town. He leads the department in alcohol, DWI arrest. He's also going to be honored next week at a ceremony that's run by the county executive for his work in DWI stopping drunk driving. So, Officer Palazzola, please come up. Let's ask his family to come up there.
May I have a motion from the town board to promote Officer Palazzola to the office of sergeant? Motion from Valentine, do I hear a second? From Moore, all in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Congratulations, officer. It's my honor to conduct the official oath of office with you. You can repeat after me. I, Anthony Palazzola, do solemnly swear
I, Anthony Palazzola, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of New York,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of police sergeant
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of police sergeant
in the town of Orangetown, county of Rockland, state of New York,
in the town of Orangetown, county of Rockland, the state of New York,
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations, officer.
Congratulations, Anthony. You have a okay.
Hold on. Congratulations.
Thank you, okay. I just said, say one last thing, I'll turn it back to you. In a second, I'm going to turn the program over to the town board. I just want to once again congratulate the officers, and I think I'm going to mirror something the town board would say too. In every promotion interviews that we go through, it's a really hard process because we have really good candidates. And the thing is, and it's really hard, you got to pick 1 out of 3, sometimes 1 out of 4 candidates. But I want to tell you that you're very lucky in this town to have very qualified candidates looking to be promoted. And I think the process gets a little bit more difficult every time. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Supervisor Stewart and Town Board.
Chief, you really put it very well. The interviews with the police candidates are always extremely impressive and eye-opening, and we have a wonderful cadre of officers, both being promoted and coming up through the ranks. I welcome comments from other members of the town board. They're all set in an appreciation of the, okay, Mr. Divany?
Well, the chief hit the nail on the head. Very impressive members of the police department. Interviews, all these candidates did a great job, and not only people being promoted tonight, but the candidates that didn't get promoted are very impressive, and we're fortunate to have them in this town. All the candidates promoted said they wanted to be leaders. They wanted to guide the department over the next number of years, and we're looking forward to it, and we'll hold you accountable to it also. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
Just
Mr. Moore.
well said by Mr. Divany and the chief. The only thing I'll add to it, besides echoing it, it's great to see all the family here to support them, but I think it's great that all the other people in the community that are here to speak to us about something else are witnessing the quality of our police force. And everyone down the line is equal to them, and it's nice to have such a full house to see the ceremony.
Absolutely. So having said that, thank you, Chief Nolte, for coordinating that process for us. And I would like a motion for a brief recess for the families to congregate, folks to get some refreshments, and the town board will come back into session in probably 5 or 10 minutes. All right? Have a motion for recess? Move from Divany. Second over here. For more, all in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you. Into session. Can I have a second? Second from Moore. All in favor say aye. All right, we are off to the races, people. The public comment period is a tradition in Orangetown. And for those who haven't been here before, we have a couple of kind of conventions around it. One is that we call people in the order they signed up on the sheet outside. Another is that we have this handy clock over here that makes a little beep after 3 minutes, at which point we require you to finish your thought, and if you've gotten that far, and if not, then we welcome what is often eloquent and also brief comments that the town board listens to, and we receive those comments and consider them. But typically, we don't get into any kind of a back and forth or debate because that would just steal time from the next guy. So that's what public comment is for. And we welcome you all to Town Hall for that purpose. First up on the list is Carrie Beckman. You know, they wanted to switch. There's Miss Beckman. Thank you very much. Who's next?
Start at any time?
Go right ahead, Carrie. And
Okay.
if there's a way we could get folks out back to quiet down a little bit, that'd be great. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a little hot in here. We've opened some windows to get some cross ventilation going, but thank you for your patience with that. Ms. Beckman?
Thank you. OMM has been a part of the Orangetown community for over 50 years. Our program has grown substantially over the years, such that many years ago we reached the point where there were just no fields left to support the growing demand. To address those needs, OMM partnered with the town and made the commitment to develop the soccer complex through the OMM, through the revenue generated from the league, and including significant loans, developed the state-of-the-art soccer complex that we are very proud of today. We also agreed that we would take care of the annual maintenance at the soccer complex, something that would save the town both money and manpower. All of the equipment and furnishings at the complex have been paid for and are maintained by OMM. OMM is a true not-for-profit run by members of your community. The proceeds from our leagues go back into programs and the complex. Our only mission is to provide the Orangetown community with the best possible soccer program for its youth. To do that, we ensure we have the best facilities with the best coaches we can find. It's as simple as that. Since signing the partnership agreement with the town, OMM has spent over $3 million of our own money to create and develop the soccer complex. Well over 2,000 town residents participate in OMM programs, which include OMM Rec, Buddy Ball, and world-class travel. On any given weekend day when we are in season, the program that plays the majority of games at the complex is our rec program. The success of OMM's program has attracted residents from adjoining towns. The participation of some non-residents in our programs allows us to ensure that we have full teams and divisions at every age level for town residents. We run a successful travel league. We believe that our travel league has more than the number of local residents as any other local soccer programs, and overall we have dramatically more residents involved in our 3 leagues. We also actively work to support other segments of our community, providing a home for the Blauvelt Orangetown seniors and supporting other school and recreational programs. So where do we go from here? We continue to work with the town to ensure that our residents are best served. Part of that plan is to introduce a new travel league that will be focused on participation by more town residents, and the annual tuition for that program will be $800. This tier will be headed by coaches from Tappan Zee and Pearl River High School. And most importantly, we are not done improving our facilities. Along with our new partners at Orangetown Lacrosse, we continue to look for more field space that we can develop to ensure better facilities for all OMM leagues. OMM has always been about solving problems, and we will continue to work to offer solutions to the town and benefits for our community. And if I have, do I have 10 seconds left?
Yes, you do.
I was going so fast trying to get that all in.
Thank you.
I also wanted to mention that, I don't know if you know, this is annual Volunteer Recognition Week. And we actually have a full-page ad that will run in the paper this week
Go ahead, finish your sentence. Thank you.
to thank the more than 400 volunteers that make our programs possible, and an equal number of teens that volunteer in our Buddy Ball program. So we want to recognize and thank all of them. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Second up is Mr. Kevin Powers.
I just need about an hour and a half to go over.
Go for
I
it,
don't
Mr.
have any
Powers.
prepared statements, obviously. Maybe they give me the history matters because I'm older. But I've been involved with OMM. Other than Kerry, I believe I've been the longest on the board with her, approximately 15, 17 years. And putting everything together, I do remember when that triangle, for those of you who maybe do remember, when it was grass and dirt and garbage, and it was OMM who came in and said, we will partner with the town and put together a world-class premier soccer complex. I just know Rockland County and Westchester County, there's nothing that looks like that. So whether you play or don't play, it benefits everyone, just like as we say, the school district benefits, a good school district benefits everybody. This soccer complex benefits everybody. I've been involved in Buddy Ball with Kerry from the very beginning. Kerry, maybe 12 years, somewhere around that long, and we started with 6 kids, and we came out with volunteers. I would love to see more of the kids who are here today and the adults who are very involved and encompassed in this particular issue to be more involved with Buddy Ball, since we have over 100 children with special needs, and we do all 3 different sessions, I should say, between basketball, soccer, and also track and field. There are 2 organizations in our town that support Buddy Ball, and by support I mean financial and time. There's the AOH Division 3 that runs their Christmas party every year, and they pay for everything for our Christmas party, not only for our children, but for all children who have special needs. And then there's OMM. No one else, OMM pays for everything. We charge a nominal fee for the kids to participate. It doesn't cover everything between insurances and everything else. It's OMM that backs everything up. So whether Buddy Ball is being dragged into this or not on participation, I am in total support of OMM, and I ask anyone who's been involved with OMM and Buddy Ball, and I know we've asked everybody to send off emails to the town board, because unfortunately in Orangetown, sometimes it's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil, and we just want to make sure that we are in complete support for this program and we continue to grow. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. And just as a note, for those of you who are here, I know there's a number of different topics folks are going to speak on, and we take people in the order they signed up, so we may have some people talking about soccer, some people talking about historic preservation, others I see in the room, and I can kind of guess, but the bottom line is, each of them will address the town board and inform the town board of their view of a situation, and be listened to for that and appreciated. The next person up is Julie Atlas.
I'm actually Ivani Alpert. Julie and I switched because I have to get my son
Okay.
home to do homework. But I'm signed up later, so she'll take my later spot.
Lucky you.
So my name's Ivani Alpert. I live in Piermont. I have 3 kids who have played for the South Orangetown school teams, OMM's Rec League, Rockland FC, and they also took part in World Classes Summer Camp and its pre-travel programs. So I am a fairly hardcore soccer mom at this point. I really believe that town fields should be given to town residents and community programs such as Buddy Ball, and I think that needs to be our first priority. And I actually think that this is the same position that's shared by just about every soccer parent in the town, regardless of their affiliation or club. The OMM leadership has not prioritized the interests of its rec league for quite some time. Parents in the rec league are incredibly frustrated by the fact that they're given second-class citizenship when it comes to field allocation for both games and practices. Many Rockland FC families have been closely involved with OMM's Rec League, and they recognize the value of this league and the hard work that's gone into the complex. A complex which is paid for by OMM Rec League donations and dues, which, while low, are still a moneymaker given how little it costs to run a volunteer-coached league. I think the issue here is that the OMM leadership has turned its back on the town and on its own rec league. As a result, the OMM Rec League teams are playing on veterans the majority of the time, while the complex is being used primarily by World Class FC. As a result of this, it appears that there's not enough fields because suddenly OMM's rec teams, RFC, and in the spring the lacrosse teams are all vying for spots at veterans and other non-complex fields. This has caused issues with residents living near the fields, and it's created enormous resentment among town residents, even those not in the soccer community. We have more than enough fields for our town kids. What we don't have is enough space for our town kids, plus the 500 or more out-of-town kids on WCFC. The solution here actually seems quite simple. Give OMM's Rec League and Buddy Ball first priority at the complex. It's as simple as that. There's more than enough space at the complex for OMM's Rec League to play 100% of their games and practices at the complex. After that, we can give fields either at Vets or the complex to other local leagues like RFC and lacrosse in the spring, and to Buddy Ball. If after all that there are still available fields, then World Class FC, which is a non-resident league, can have those. I think this is a solution that OMM's rec families, RFC families, and community members who live near the local fields like Kennedy Reedy would all agree on. I would really encourage continued collaboration between OMM's Rec League, the town, and any travel teams. Can I have one more sentence?
Sure, finish your
Okay.
thought, please.
To allow World Class FC to continue to defraud the town under the auspices of OMM's misguided leadership is wrong, and we as a town should not tolerate this. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, we have a set of lost keys. So you could just look at the floor and shuffle around a bit. If you see a set of keys, pick it up and wave it around. And the Chief Nolte here is looking for it. It's not his keys, it's somebody else's. My understanding is that the volume isn't turned up for the lobby, so I'm going to see if I can sort that out for 1 second here.
I'll look out for you. Thank you very much.
Maybe we're getting a little more sound in the back of the room now. Mr. Michael Mandel.
You started again?
Sure, thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, Supervisor Stewart and members of the Town Board. For the record, I am Michael Mandel, a resident of Pearl River. Regarding comments made by the previous speaker tonight in the prior meetings as to who utilized the soccer fields, I conducted observations of the parking lot at the soccer fields on 3 different nights between 7 p.m. and 8:20 p.m. with the following results. A total of 231 vehicles were parked there. Of that total, 140 or 60.1% were New Jersey plates. New Jersey is another state. It's not even in Rockland County, period. These fields are being used for the benefit of out-of-town residents to the detriment of Orangetown residents. This is not why we purchased the RPC property and built the fields. According to the amended agreement between the town of Orangetown and the Orangetown Mighty Midgets Athletic Club, page 9, Article 18, non-resident policy, there's a residency requirement of 85%. This league in its own reports indicates it's nowhere near the requirement. It's time the town provides services for the residents first, to the people who pay the taxes and who are the voters. These actions by OMM have deprived the children of this town of first rights for use of the fields. And if OMM cannot abide by the agreement, then it's time to consider alternative options for the management of the fields concerning playing time, both for practice and league games, with priority to residents first. Further, the town received only $580 in 2014 from outside rentals. I don't know if it's because we have so many outsiders playing there that they can't get it, but it's just something to think about. And as far as town costs, we're still paying the water bill, the total water bill for that site. And synthetic fields take a lot of water, and that runs into tens of thousands of dollars a year, if you look at the water bills. Another item, regarding item 1 on the agenda, approve World Team Agreement, microgrid grant application. Under section teaming agreement, number 5 states that each party shall bear its own cost expenses, and number 7, provide availability of management and technical personnel to assist with the projects. What are the anticipated costs to supply the material requested? Number of hours town personnel will provide to the project, thereby not performing town services. Secondly, where they intend to obtain power if the grid goes down. These are questions that should be answered before the signing and approval of any agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mandel. Ms. Eileen Larkin.
Members of the board, good evening. I'm here tonight to talk about the land use boards, and also to hopefully that you will listen tonight to the people that are coming before you tonight with issues that they are concerned with. Our land use boards must be held responsible for all developments in the town, specifically for commercial and MFR, which is multifamily residences. There is a trend on these boards, especially the zoning board and the planning board, to push forward at a fast pace commercial developments. Large-scale projects appear in the summer months when a lot of people are away, such as Anellotech. Requests for removal of trees made prior to the state ban on removing trees appear before the land use boards so they can get approval prior to the month of April. When residents appear before the land use boards, they begrudgingly get 3 minutes to speak. The developer gets unlimited time. I request that you advise these boards that we, the residents, who have lived all their lives, or most of their lives, in Orangetown, get 5 minutes, no less, and to be treated respectfully, and not to feel that they are being harassed or intimidated when they get up to speak. I request also that all town board members or land use board members have term limitations. 1 7-year term is more than enough for somebody to serve on these boards. Why is it that Anellotech was allowed to fill out a short EAF? I know full well the importance of an EAF, having lived in Palisades and served on a civic association. Walgreens on Oak Tree Road and 303 is allowed to be a 24/7 business selling beer, is going to create a traffic nightmare on Oak Tree Road in a residential area. The Lent House, not listed on the EAF, or shown as not, the property does not have an historic building on it. It is time for the board, you, the board, to update our town code. Some of these codes in that book go back to the 60s and 70s. I learned today that John Siccardi passed away this past late, towards the end of last year. I called Siccardi and Schiff today to ask them about our Route 303 commercial overlay plan. And I was told that John passed away. I always found John to be a professional man, a gentleman, and I always thought he did well for the town of Orangetown. Perhaps we can remember him tonight when you close the meeting. I appreciate you appointing me to the Environmental Committee. And I always feel that my time goes faster than most people.
Believe me,
and
the
I'm
clock
beginning
ticks for
to
everybody.
check you guys out. But anyway.
Thank you very much, Ms. Larkin. Mary Cardenas, please. Mary Cardenas. Looks like we're getting a handout. All right, there you are. She's handing out what looks like pieces of sandstone. Thank you. It's like Dennis got the biggest piece of rock. Not sure what that means.
Good evening. I will be brief this evening. I want you to hold up in your hand right now something I've given to you. It represents 263 years of a house that once stood in Orangeburg. Okay? And I come before you to speak about the demise of the Abram Lent House. What a shame that this house had to be destroyed for parking places. What a shame. Shame on us. The proposed stores that may or may not be occupied, what's that about? If you go down to the Tappan Plaza, there's empty stores there. If you go down to the Orangetown Center, there are empty stores there. There is no guarantee that these proposed stores will have occupants. And the new stores that will finally be occupied, then vacated after their lease is up, what happens then? We're stuck with empty stores and empty parking places. If you pass by Stop and Shop on any given day, any given time, and see how many cars are parked in that lot, you'll see not too many. And yes, we were promised that Stop and Shop would be a good asset in Orangetown, and it would be good for our taxes. Well, judging by the amount of cars in that lot, I don't think it's the success that was expected. On Easter Sunday, April 4th, I witnessed the demolition of the Lent House. The last blow by the backhoe was to the roof on the southeast corner. There was a groan, a screech, and after several seconds, a sigh, as though the house expired, and it did. So ends the legacy of Abram Lent, signer of the Orangetown resolutions and colonel of the Orange County Militia. So much for the history, and hurrah for the developer. We should not let this happen again. Orangetown needs to have laws regarding these structures, protecting what we have left. Otherwise, rich in history becomes a sham. I will work with the town attorney, the building department, in creating these laws. They will be fair to the owners of these historic houses or sites, but equally fair to the community in which they are located. We cannot afford to dismiss these historic houses or sites, for if we do, we have lost our special place in history. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, just out of respect for everybody who wants to speak, let's try to keep it to a dull roar. Thank you, Mary, and the emotion is evident, and we share that. Dimitri Lattis.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, Mr. Edwards, I've spoken to you a month ago. Before that, in August, we spoke on this very same topic. I'm frustrated to say that we're back again, and we're back again because of inaction. We brought to your attention the problem that goes something like this. We are Rockland FC. We are a grassroots, town-based, not-for-profit organization that represents the town's kids who want to play travel soccer. That's who we are. We are compliant with all policies regarding residency and otherwise allowing youth soccer organizations in the town. We ask for soccer fields, we get declined. And we say, well, why can't we play at the complex? Because OMM has a land use agreement at the complex. Well, how come they get to say World Class gets to play there and Rockland FC does not? Well, because they get to say, and that's the way it goes. Okay, let me look at that agreement. Whoa, there it is, 85% rule. There's a policy in place in town that says all youth organizations must comply with such a rule. We must be residents, 85% residents, in order for the agreement to stand with OMM and for us to get access to the fields. They have violated that rule. Season after season after season, not just this season, but we've brought it to your attention long before, and we've asked for you to act. You have not. And we're back in the same position again. That's why all these kids are here, because they're being declined access to that complex that we're all supposed to be so proud of has become an embarrassment for the town. You talk to coaches from Westchester, they'll tell you. They laugh when they say, huh, yeah, we know your town kids aren't allowed to play there. And that's what it's become. Yes, a lot of sweat equity went into it. Yes, OMM deserves a ton of credit. OMM Rec is a terrific organization. Buddy Ball is a terrific organization. They should be protected under that land use agreement in their ability to manage that. But so should Rockland FC as a town soccer organization be granted access to those fields by right, not by favor, so that our kids can play soccer on this wonderful complex. In order to do that, the land use agreement must be rewritten, and Buddy Ball must be protected, Orangetown Rec must be protected, and Rockland FC must be protected, because those are town organizations. World Class FC is not. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lattis. Susan Whitty.
Members of the council and everyone who's here tonight, I want to thank you all for coming. I'm a parent of a soccer player, 2 soccer players actually, who started with OMM, and we loved our time at OMM. And one wanted to go on to play with a travel team, but didn't want to try out for World Class, and frankly wanted something that was a little bit more accommodating to sort of our speed, and Rockland FC was born. And I've been really, really impressed tonight talking to and overhearing conversations from what Ms. Beckman said about OMM and the history of OMM, and having been to many of the events there, and to the passion in the room, to kids that come out,
Ms. Whitty, if you could just direct your comments this way so we can hear
families that come out and spend so much time fighting for something that they really believe in. And I guess what I certainly couldn't say more in terms of detail than Ivania Alpert or Dimitri Lattis has already said. But just in terms of passion, I think OMM is an organization about solving problems, and we have a lot of very, very dedicated, smart, and passionate people in the room. And it seems likely that there is a solution here that can be reached. But it sounds like maybe you need some more information, maybe you need more people to be involved in assisting in that process. But whatever it is, I guess I just want to encourage you to let us know what that may be, and to help us move it along, because it's spring. The weather was warm today and over the weekend, and we'd really like to get to playing more soccer on the fields. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Claire Sheridan.
Thank you. Hi, thank you for taking my comments. My name is Claire Sheridan. I'm from Tappan. I will be brief. 50 years ago, some 125 20th century Tappan patriots, headed by actor Harry Belliver, famous for acting in the TV show Naked City and a resident of Tappan, pleaded with the Orangetown Planning Board to preserve historical Tappan. It was a 2 hour and 15-minute public hearing. He and his compatriots opposed a plan to erect a commercial subdivision in the heart of Tappan's original business center. To make a long story short, it is thanks to those vocal preservationists that we have a charming and historic hamlet of Tappan, one that attracted me and my family to move here, and one that people marvel at being so close to the metropolis that is New York City. I think you will all agree with me when I say, thank goodness they stood up and spoke out for historic preservation. Today I'm here to express my sadness about the recent demolition of the Lent House. It was an extraordinary example of historical Dutch architecture. The Hudson Valley is famous for this kind of architecture, and it is the only place in America where there remains a body of colonial Dutch architecture. Because the Dutch enjoyed a relatively short hold on the territory, these houses are truly a rare treasure, and more of them are being demolished. It is unacceptable that our town, whose motto is Orangetown, rich in history, sat back and allowed this devastating destruction. The adaptive use of this structure or the relocation of this structure should have been pursued. It is incumbent upon us to preserve, restore, reconstruct, rehabilitate, and maintain historic places in our Preserve America County. In doing so, we will help to strike a balance, bringing together the best of the old with our 21st century contemporary life. Viable studies show that there are intrinsic economic benefits to communities as a result of creative site reuse and for the preservation of historic structures. Here in Orangetown, there are places still at risk. As the chairperson of the Historic Preservation Committee and a past president of the Historical Society of Rockland County, I take our mission to heart. We have advocated and continue to advocate to preserve, restore, and maintain these at-risk places. What remains of the Lent House should be treasured by the town of Orangetown. The remains should be preserved, reused, and repurposed in a respectful manner. I urge the town to do all it can to lead this effort to do so. And with regard to the future, I wholeheartedly support, as a constituent of yours, efforts to create new preservation ordinances to better protect historic buildings in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stephen Felter.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Stephen Felter, resident of Piermont. I was here in September to address the OMM, RFC, use of the complex. And what I asked for at that time, it was transparency, because there's a lot of assertions made on both sides, and I'm sure there are facts somewhere to be seen, but I haven't seen them, so I'm reluctant to point a finger at anybody about anything. And I would say that transparency would really help the issue, and having served on boards, not town government boards, but having served on boards in my life, I know that you're probably incredibly overworked and that you could use some help. So I would like to echo Ms. Whitty's comments about, is there some way that citizens can help? Can there be some panel to decide in short order, with equal representation from an OMM group and from Rockland FC and anybody else, so that we might look at the facts, come up with a recommendation, present it to the board, take something off your plate, put some reasonable people in a room, and get some resolution to this issue, because all I know is that it would be lovely if my boy could play at the complex, and because he's with RFC, we're relegated to outer fields, and I tell you, I don't know what the facts are, but I can tell you what it feels like. It feels like when I lived on Long Island growing up, and we had a private club, golf club. And it was a beautiful club. It looked like the Masters tournament every week. You drive by, it was so beautiful. They kept it so well. The only time I was ever on that property was as a caddy. And that's what it feels like with the complex. We drive by, we see games going on, but it's never us. It's never us. So something's wrong there. Because, and if there is this, if the assertions are correct, that there is this 85% rule, then there's no question that that is being breached. No question, just based on personal observation in the parking lots, which I can totally attest to what that gentleman said earlier. So that seems to me a factual matter, and it seems to me we should be able to get to the bottom of a factual matter, and again, reasonable people sitting down should be able to come up with some resolution and some advice to the board, and hopefully the board would do the right thing, and I hope you will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rick Tannenbaum. Rick Tannenbaum.
Good evening. My name is Rick Tannenbaum, and I'm here to speak about the Lent House. When Tom Graff came here, I guess more than a year ago, and applied for a demolition permit, I believe that everybody involved, everybody on the planning board, everybody on the town council, was aware that he wasn't applying for a demolition permit in a vacuum, that his demolition permit was part of a much larger project, which was the expansion of the Orangeburg Commons into his property. And we all know that, I guess, as a condition of him being able to provide that land, he had to remove the house. So I favor, any new law or any new ordinance or code provision that would enable the town to look at the project at large rather than each individual element of it and say, well, wait a minute, this is not a simple demolition. This is a demolition with the anticipation of a much larger project being undertaken. So the larger project triggers a SEQR review. The demolition of the Lent House did not. But the reality of it is that the larger project included the demolition of the Lent House, and it should have been part of the SEQR process that's going on now for Orangeburg Commons. New York state law already exists. There's a doctrine called segmentation, which basically says that a developer can't come in and break up his project into small parts to avoid a SEQR review. And SEQR review incorporates an analysis and an interpretation and a consideration of historic properties. So at some point, the town board became aware that the projects were all at one. Maybe you all knew right from the outset, maybe you became aware later on. And that New York state law that already exists enables the town to stop the demolition before it happens until the full SEQR review runs its course. That didn't happen, and that's, I guess, a crime or a sin or a major loss for all of us. But those laws already do exist, and the town can't look at these projects in a vacuum. It's like if you're coming to dam a river and you say, I'm going to throw one shovel at a time, you can't look at the one shovel. You have to look at all the shovels of dirt going into the river, and that's the obligation of the town and the planning board. So, right now, who knows if the rest of the development will even be built. That land that surrounds it was contaminated with coal tar and naphthalene. Who knows what leached into the Lent House property from being right next door from the Orangeburg Pipe Corporation. The Lent House is gone. Whether the project ever gets built or not, who knows, but the Lent House is gone for nothing, because the town had the ability to condition the development on either the relocation or the salvage of the Lent House, and for whatever reason, either the town didn't know that it had that ability or doesn't believe that it does, that opportunity was lost and the Lent House is lost. But that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment, Mr. Tannenbaum. Gordon Miller. Gordon Miller? Yes. There you are.
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Gordon Miller. I'm a 14-year resident of Pearl River. And in those 14 years, I've been a parent, volunteer coach, volunteer division coordinator, volunteer working board member, and since last October, a volunteer executive board member with OMM Soccer. I fell in love with the game and with the organization, and I haven't left it since, even though my kids have now grown out of it. I'm here, my role tonight as a member of the executive board is to clarify who OMM is, because there seems to be some confusion. Orangetown Mighty Midgets Athletic Club, Inc. is a 501c3 not-for-profit registered with the IRS and audited financial statements, all available for the public to view. This organization, OMM Inc., owns and operates OMM Soccer, which is commonly referred to as REC, Buddy Ball Sports, program for special needs kids, and World Class FC, which is commonly referred to as Travel. All three of these programs are intimately interlinked into OMM Soccer. There is no separation. There is no them, us. All three of these make the organization of OMM Soccer. Working in cooperation with the town, OMM helped build the complex, as we already established, putting additional almost nearly $4 million now into the development of the complex. Prior to that, we actually played all of our games at Veterans in Kennedy, Reedy, and Demiola. In fact, OMM being as large as we are, we still utilize many of those fields. In fact, the goalposts that many soccer organizations use are owned by OMM and still staffed on those fields. So there's nothing wrong with those fields. We recognize, though, that the complex is a special place, and we're very happy for it. Our usage at the complex, just to clarify, is as follows. All three programs in the organization do use the complex. OMM, being the largest on a weekend, uses it the most. To give you an example, typical weekend last fall, September 6th and 7th, Buddy Ball played their games from 10:30 to noon on Saturday. World Class Travel hosted 8 games that weekend. Although a more typical weekend is anywhere from 12 to 15 games, OMM Rec hosted 38 games at the complex. We hosted an additional 35 games outside of the complex. Point being that big organization, we use a lot. That's who we are. What we're doing going forward is this. We've expanded our travel program to continue to meet the needs of Orangetown residents. We're launching a new program to be delivered at an extremely affordable $800 a year for a top quality program. We made a proposal to buy land to expand more fields. We recognize that there is a field crunch in this town. We're taking the positive step to try and create more. As an organization, and I got to tell you, in 14 years of working with the organization, I've been immensely enriched by my work with the families and with the kids, although in those 14 years, I haven't taken a dime in salary. That's not to say that people who do take a salary from youth sports have less of a right to speak to it, but it does give you an example that we on the executive board are members of this community. We have our best interests for OMM and for the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Robert Noble.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board. My name is Robert Noble, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Rockland FC and to advocate a fair allocation of the soccer fields. I think the one issue that I want to address to you, and I think it's important, is my understanding of New York State's Constitution and New York State town law is that you can't sell or lease public land without a public referendum. And I think the reason why residency requirements are contained in most license agreements that towns do is so that it really is being used for a public purpose. Tonight's meeting, I was informed, was that there was a proposal to lower the residency requirement from 85% to 60%. I'm disappointed that there is no action being taken on the agenda tonight, that this is just public comment. But I think what you need to think about is the bar shouldn't be lowered, it should be raised. It should be raised such that if OMM, and they're a good organization, and my son played with OMM and has played with many different organizations throughout the town, but if they're not allocating the field space fairly to the town's residents to comply with the 85% requirement, then you have to do something. You have to look at this agreement, perhaps rewrite it. If you're concerned about the legality of it, get an opinion from the comptroller's office. I'm pretty sure they'll say you can't lower the requirements. I don't think any town has a situation where you can have 60% New Jersey cars. I heard the suggestion made here tonight, and I think it's an excellent idea. You as a town board deal with a lot of issues. Why don't you get together a group of stakeholders, people who have an interest from all sides of the issue, and have them meet, put together recommendations to you so that you can consider them. What's going to be fair? What's going to be least burdensome to the taxpayers to administer this? No one denies that this is a beautiful complex, but I think the analogy is very apt that it's like the Long Island Golf Club that you can't get into. It's very distressing to see that at the beginning of another spring soccer season, we don't have a place to play. And I hope that you do the right thing, and I hope that you act quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Laval.
Thank you. I'm Carol Laval from the Tappan Town Historical Society, and I'm here on behalf of our board and members to support Mary Cardenas in her efforts to ask for new ordinances, perhaps to oversee the preservation of the historic houses in the the Orangetown area. And also to echo Claire Sheridan's comments about the founding of the historic area of Tappan and Palisades 50 years ago. It is the Tappan Town Historic Society's 50th anniversary, which we're celebrating this year, and it would be a wonderful way to renew our commitment to preservation in Orangetown by extending the protections that Tappan Town and Palisades have had. By the way, they need strengthening also. There are any number of properties that need better protection and oversight in Tappan and Palisades, but to extend that to ordinances for all of Orangetown. It's sort of a sad irony that had the historic area just been maybe 2 miles further north, the Lent House may have had a little bit more oversight and protection from the Historic Area Board of Review. And we may look perhaps into extending the historic area if that would be of some help. But I'm here mainly to assure the community that Tappan Town Historic Society is committed to preservation, and we would like to be part of this discussion and influential in helping in the creation and strengthening of the ordinances which are very much needed. I might also add the key to having an ordinance be effective is enforcement. And that is another issue that is in great need of discussion and needs to be strengthened tremendously in order to protect what we have and to ensure that we can protect whatever future parcels we can identify and put on record. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Frank and Suzanne Max. Somebody, Suzanne still here? There we go.
Good evening.
Welcome, Mr. Frank.
Thank you. My name is Scott Frank. I'm a partner with the mechanical and electrical engineering firm, Jarrow, Spahn & Bowles. We're a 100-year-old, 250-person firm based in New York City. We've had the privilege of designing such significant projects as all of the buildings on the World Trade Center site and the new academic campus for Columbia University. I'm here in support of the town of Orangeburg participating in the Community Microgrid Initiative being organized under the entity World Team Now. We believe significant innovation will be available to all municipalities in New York State in the near future regarding how regulated electricity grids are owned and operated. These innovations will bring cost reduction to customers and ratepayers and increases in reliability and resiliency of the electric grid in locales where they are implemented. Firms like mine are participating at our own cost in the effort, the first phase of which is a feasibility study to determine the viability of implementing a microgrid in Orangeburg. We anticipate that the commitment required by town staff to participate in the study will be minimal and will primarily consist of providing approximately 1 hour of time for access by my staff engineers to make visual observations only of each town-owned building that will be included in the study. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frank. Ms. Max?
Hi, thank you all for being here, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Suzanne Max, and I'm the founder of World Team Now. We're a nonprofit organization that is leading a community effort for a community microgrid. And the opportunity here is to have backup energy and power to support the situation when there's power outages so that there is resiliency for the community. And our organization is doing this as part of a demonstration to show other towns and other opportunities that the change can happen. And that importance of electricity is significant for critical infrastructure. And we need to start making smart infrastructure with smart technology. And this is an opportunity to demonstrate that in this project. We've been reaching out with the utility, and this is an opportunity to also re-explore. New York is in a position to re-explore the rating. It's the only state in the United States right now that is doing that. And this microgrid is an opportunity for people to save on energy efficiency and energy generation. And the cost to the town is nothing. We've put together an A team to come in and to support you all in doing this. And our goal is to be of service and to get a great microgrid so that there's backup generation and backup power in a place where you're at the end of electrical distribution. From Orange and Rockland, it's considered a fringe town, and therefore the reliability is less. And we want to strengthen that reliability so that the critical infrastructures that need to exist for emergency services, for police, for fire, and town campuses are supported at times when there's a power outage, and that we have backup renewable generation. And it's an opportunity to also bring in revenue for the town. There's a lot of load shedding with creating new energy generation sources, and it's an opportunity to bring in more revenue. So it's not only a backup for electrical power generation, but it's a backup to bring more resiliency and more economy into the community. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Sally Oland, I can't quite read the writing there. Oland, help me out here. Is Sally still here? Okay. Albert Boulanger, there he is.
Hi, I'm Albert Boulanger, and I'm also with World Team Now, and I work for Columbia University. The group I'm with at Columbia University, we've done several years of work looking at reliability of the Con Ed system, distribution system, and I'm part of the effort to introduce the microgrid concept here for Orangetown. And I'd like to emphasize that, you know, the reliability aspect in Hurricane Sandy, ONR had 80% of the customers lost power. And, you know, it's a fringe area. We can do better. These kinds of storms will most probably be increasing. So it's time to, I think, boost up the defenses and come up with solutions that can ride through threats like more intense storms. You know, studying reliability at Columbia University, one of the things that we're bringing to the table is some innovation, some unique ways of approaching the grid design. And I hope you will support the effort to be innovative and do an eco approach to this, where both economy and also the renewable aspect that we plan to introduce, where power is coming from renewable energy sources that the town has ample opportunity to exploit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll be taking a vote on that after public comment's over. Let's see, who am I missing? Ken Cully?
Good evening, Ken Cully from Nanuet. As you may remember, I am opposed to the Anellotech project, and that's what I'm here to speak about tonight. First of all, I'd like to thank the town board for the letter that they wrote to the planning committee. Mr. Devaney put it into the record, recommended to the planning board that if it approved it, there'd be continuous monitoring, analyzing chemicals to be discharged and the amounts to be discharged. If the chemicals are above the limits, the plant would automatically shut down. Remedial measures would be taken. That after it's approved, they would return the services of an air water consultant to ensure safety concerns to be addressed and to monitor the air and the water controls in the neighborhood. And basically, you all agreed to it, and I would agree that what you have done is echoed everything we've said. Anellotech is a disaster waiting to happen, and now you've proposed a disaster plan. So I thank you for that. Mr. Stewart took some heat for proposing a moratorium. He took a stand. You guys went on both sides of the issue. You said, we really support it, but maybe you Anellotech guys, Stop Anellotech guys, have a good point, so let's go that way. If you really supported it, you would have told us to go home, that you support it, and what they have there is what they have there. Let me just bring another quick point. The Anellotech company went to the Mid-Hudson Regional Economic Development Council in July of 2014. And this is a presentation I'll leave for you guys if you'd like. They talk about the non-food biomass they're going to use, wood chips, agricultural residuals, MSW, municipal solid waste, garbage that they want to burn. It's in their program. Right here, they put it out as they asked for $1 million from this organization. And on page 8 of their project, the project benefits to the region. It's bio-based, the green chemicals, which is green benzene is still benzene, multiple feedstock possibilities, waste stream reduction potential, plastics, MSW, municipal solid waste. Now, they've come here and said, oh, no, we're not going to do that. Every time that we in the Stop Anellotech movement find one of these documents where they come in and they say they're going to do something, and when we bring it, put the light on it, they, oh, we're not going to do that, we're going to do that. If you trust these people, I don't know how you do, because they change the story all the time. And what scares me, too, is that they're scientists. They're the ones that are supposed to be putting this together, and I'm supposed to feel safe with them living 3 blocks away from this plant that's burning at 1,300 degrees and the biomass and all this other stuff. They can't even get this through the planning board. They can't get their story straight. These guys are the scientists that I should rely on their benefit, on their facts and on what they do. It makes no sense. You can't build a plant that builds nothing but carcinogenic products. BTX is all carcinogenic. You're allowing them to build a plant that does that in a residential neighborhood. I don't know how your town board, how your code, how any common sense allows you to do that. It doesn't belong there, and it shouldn't be there. That's all I can say.
All right, folks. Excuse me.
One last thing.
Thank you very much.
One last thing. I understand there's a problem with the soccer fields. Deny Anellotech, build some soccer fields.
Excuse me. All right, guys, listen. You know, we have to be here and try to really pay attention to what people are saying. And believe me, you know, there's no noise meter here determining whether the town board likes or dislikes or understands something. So, in my view anyway, the noise is more of a hindrance than anything else. I'm sorry to be kind of a wet blanket on that. I've got Ivania Alpert. Okay, thank you. Jake Lattice. Sorry, Ivania. Somebody said you had already spoke.
Okay, a little short, so I got to move the mic. My name is Julie Atlas. I live in Orangeburg, and I am also here to talk about soccer. I am a soccer mom to 3 boys who have played for OMM. You know, it was a great program for them. When they needed something more, Rockland FC came along and fit that position for them. I don't think that what they're asking for is a lot. First, I want to comment on, there was an email that OMM sent out that a local soccer program was trying to hurt Buddy Ball. And that couldn't be farther from the truth, and I felt that that email was somewhat slanderous. And we're not looking to hurt any rec teams, any Buddy Ball teams. We're looking just to get our fair share of field time at whether it be the complex or even at Veterans Park and the other fields. Because they allocate their field times, I understand, you know, obviously they're world-class teams. They're a smaller amount of teams than their OMM teams. So, but if you ask how many world-class games have been played off the complex for a home game, that number would be 0. We're just asking for our fair chance to get some, whether it be field time there and not to constantly have to beg for field time everywhere else. I understand that OMM now merged with another soccer company called Maximus, which is a New Jersey-based league, and they're playing in New Jersey. Then maybe their Jersey players that play for World Class FC should maybe move to that program so that World Class FC can house more of our own hometown children. I feel that their new travel program that they are starting is a little too late. That's why Rockland FC was born, for local town kids. And I feel that they're doing this almost to spite Rockland FC and to try to maneuver us out of the picture. But we're not going anywhere. We're a strong soccer family. Manny started this program for our kids, and that is the only thing that he cares about in running this program. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. Jake Gladys.
Hello, my name is Jake Gladys, and I live in Piermont, New York. So this whole soccer mess can basically be broken down two ways. There's the legal aspect, and then there's the ethical aspect. So legally speaking, the OMM, World Class, and Buddy Ball corporations were given by the town a contract stating that in exchange for a lease on town fields, they would provide a great soccer development opportunity for town kids. Development not necessarily meaning the best of the best, but truly just the best of the town. So legally, OMM and World Class, as we all know, are not in compliance of this contract. So recently, when I went to the town complex, and I looked around and I saw all the World Class teams practicing, not OMM teams, which would be fine under ideal circumstances. Ideal being that there was 85% of or more town kids playing on those fields. But as we all know, there's not. And I was denied a tiny sliver of field to play on, just like a tiny sliver. Even though I'm a Tappan Zee player, I play goalie for the JV team. I'm a Tappan Zee boy. I'm a Dutchman. So I was waiting for my dad to pick me up, so I decided what to do. And I just decided, why not count the people here that I know? And so I like to pride myself in that I can recognize most people in Tappan Zee's face. And out of the 3 fields, the 3 big turf fields, and the 8 or odd teams that were playing, I saw 3 girls. Some of them are here, which is good. But I saw 3 girls, and I saw 1 boy out of the 8 odd teams. Obviously, that's not 85% or more. Sorry, I'm getting a little nervous.
It's all right. You're doing a great job.
Obviously, it's not 85% or more, and obviously, that's in violation of their contract. So the question is, why is this being allowed? So it's completely legally inexcusable, and it goes against the contract, and a solution must be reached. So now, on the moral aspect of the whole issue, I, as a member of Tappan Zee High School, should not have to practice in the dirt when there are kids with Connecticut plates playing at my town fields. My town fields. Not their town fields, but my town fields. So when we have more than enough fields for town kids, but we're not giving it to them because we're just giving them to out-of-town kids. And it's as simple as this. Our town kids, all of these people here in green, the world-class kids right there, but primarily the ones that are the town kids. It's really just town kids need town fields. End of story, and I think we can all agree on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I thank all the kids for coming out tonight, and I'm sure this is pretty eye-opening. We appreciate your participation. Walter Orrell.
Good evening, members of the board, Supervisor Stewart. Thanks for all the people who have spoken so far on the Lent House. I had expected to talk more about that tonight, but I wanted to just actually talk about a project or a building that is under severe threat right now that is kind of analogous to what some of the people have been saying about the Lent House. There's another historic Dutch sandstone house, also built in 1752, like the Lent House. It's called the Seth Perry House, and it sits in the middle of a large apartment complex, the Point at Lake Tappan, which is now under construction. After a long hiatus, that project has started up again. They've started to clear the land, and the Seth Perry House sits squarely in the middle of the development. A condition of the development's approval 10 years ago was a complete restoration of the Seth House, incorporating it as part of the complex. The house has been left to deteriorate, though, actually, for the last 10 years, as this project kind of went through the very slow process of getting to the point of starting construction. And it's superficially, but I would say structurally, it's superficially in very poor condition, but structurally, I would say that it's actually quite good. But like the Lent house, I guess my point is that the building is surrounded by machines right now. It needs some TLC very soon, or it is in fact going to be almost beyond repair. This was a condition of the development, and I think the developers really have to step up to the plate and fulfill their obligation according to what they agreed upon. Just as an aside, just as a sort of food for thought, this building, this house, like the Lent House, it was built before the American Revolution. It was actually built before the French and Indian War. It's a part of our heritage that's just irreplaceable, and I just would respectfully urge the members of the town board and the supervisor to just step forward and intervene in this and just make sure that this development project fulfills the terms that they agreed to. So, thank you.
Thanks for that comment. Scott Panis.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Appreciate the time to speak. For a long time, I thought that the OMM complex was privately owned. I thought that they owned this land, and it was like their thing that they do, because I didn't see anybody else over there pretty much other than them. I've been involved with the Rockland FC as far as my daughter plays with Manny, has 3 amazing coaches, Maggie, Tara, and Lisa, for the last, I believe it's almost 4 years. And I don't recall ever being over there at this point. I'm appalled, and I've used that word before, you folks, that that they're supposed to have 85% town residents there, and that it says that priority will be given in your rule number 12 in the town code. Priority will be given to town residents over all applicants. OMM is way under these requirements by virtue of their own numbers on their website. Buddy ball is great and also must be protected, but these town fields and town policies must be enforced. I am asking that Rockland FC is given a fair shake to get time. I've been here to speak about Anellotech, and I've seen Manny here. I've seen Demetri here. What are you doing? Are you ignoring these people? You're not being fair. You're not being fair. There are town residents paying taxes. I am grateful to Mr. Mandel for his comments, that he comes here and acknowledges what's going on, that it is not being evenly distributed. I ask that OMM should be required to disclose the lists and prove to us where are these people coming from, what are their addresses, or at least you should be privy to see them, maybe not for public disclosure, so everybody knows, are they truly underneath these limits? Then if there's room for FC, Rockland FC, then they can use their fields for the people from New Jersey and Connecticut. Also, I would like to say that why are they being denied? Why is Rockland FC being denied field space? Secondly, on the situation of Anellotech, breast cancer, autism, other cancers are higher than ever in Pearl River. It's not a surprise that you're finding out that Anellotech wants to make poisonous chemicals. Mr. Culley disclosed that they just have it released from the Economic Development Council that their biomass will come from municipal solid waste, MSW. So they keep changing their story right here in front of you. It's corn stover, it's wood. When we say wood's not allowed to be burned under town code, then it becomes corn stover. They've nothing but lied to us and will be poisoning us. And you folks have failed us, other than Mr. Stewart, who stood up to protect us. The ZBA also failed us. I ask that do whatever you can to stop poison from being made. We do not need a cancer factory in Pearl River. I live a few minutes from this place. A lot of people here probably don't even know that this company, Anellotech, is going to have a smokestack that will be spewing their residues of their poison. So please help us and protect us before people are sick. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thanks for your comments, sir. Catherine Moynihan. Catherine Moynihan.
Hi, I'm Catherine Moynihan from Pearl River. I also want to say I was born and raised here. I was born in Blauvelt and was raised there. And I have my children raised in Pearl River. I just want to make a point. Those fields that they're talking about, that was nothing but an open
If you could just
area.
direct.
It was an open area. That was town land. The fields were built by OMM. So I want you to put that into perspective. Also, when it comes to preservation, when everyone's concerned about the buildings, that sandstone building that they made, they kept that. I remember this land when you used to go through the one-way tunnel before it had a light there. There was a man with an Apple Charlie, he's Apple Charlie, he used to sell his apples. Things change. And people, they build things. And my question is, has OMM done a positive thing in this community? Did they do right, even though they have, and my daughter plays for World Class, and yes, she is an Orangetown resident. She's not here tonight, but yes, I am an Orangetown resident, and my daughter plays for World Class. And I think it's very important to understand that you have OMM, you have Buddy Bowl, and you have World Class. And all of that together built those fields, and they're absolutely wonderful. And the town uses them. I see older people and anyone who wants to use them walk around that track. They use it for the senior citizens. My mother-in-law goes there all the time. They work with the community. They are the community. And a lot of these young kids, you played OMM. That's where you started. You started in Tykes, and you learned your skills there, and you enjoyed your time there. And now you went to another program, and I understand you need fields. I don't know if there's other land that could possibly have them built their fields. But that was not, your land was Orangetown, but the fields are OMM. They built that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Agatha Galeras. All right, take another shot at that. Agath Galanis. Granis? Is that a drawing? Well, I'm sure that if you were here, you'd be standing up. I think that's everybody who's signed in. By a raise of hands, is anybody else here to speak on any of these town issues? I'm seeing in front with the big red button on. Tommy? It's you, right? Yeah, you.
Just two quick thoughts, one on Anellotech. I've been in Pearl River since 1957, and Scott had mentioned a cancer factory. As an engineer, I'd worked at Santa Barbara Research Center for a number of years, so I'm familiar with benzene, toluene, xylene. This is insane. The history of Letterly Laboratories and Gatto Lane. I personally know two families on Gatto Lane, long-time Pearl River residents like myself, and they told me every single house on Gatto Lane, which sits at 130-foot elevation compared to Letterly. It's right across the railroad tracks and right across the Muddy Brook. Every single house on Gatto Lane has at least one family member with cancer. Most of the houses had multiple cancers. That's from Letterly. I remember in the 50s and 60s when we were kids at night, the smells coming from Letterly, that's when they'd release them at night in summer when people, figure people in the homes and they're not going to catch it. So the Anellotech smokestack's 100 feet, big deal. The elevation of Gatto Lane's 130, big deal. My house is a half mile on Bogart Avenue from Anellotech, and we still smell the stuff. So this is insane. A cancer factory. You got to be kidding me, The cancer autism rates of Pearl River, it's well known. And what it would do to our property values, especially the neighborhoods right around Anellotech. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And then the second thing is about the Len House. I'm on the board of the Rockland Historical Society. I'm at the Orangetown Historical Society, the Nyack Historical Society. I love our history. It's just tremendous. Like Mary said, the death of the Lent House, I'm just beside myself like Mary and Bob Knight and all of us, And like Walter said, the death of our irreplaceable heritage, okay? But like, I appreciate what Carol had said tonight and what Claire had said and Steve. I actually have a question. Why on Friday, April 3rd, I'm not familiar with everything about the details about the situation, but why on Friday, April 3rd, from what I understand, the Lent House issue was suddenly pulled from the planning board's meeting agenda? I want to know why. I only found that out tonight. That's the first thing. The second thing is, from what I understand, I only found this out tonight, Attorney Rich Tannenbaum said that the town did have the legal ability to stop the possible impending demolition, that there was a legal loophole in the fact that they had skipped the CEQA process, and about the segmentation. So we had legal grounds to actually put a timeout on this thing. This is just, yeah, Orangetown, rich in history. Right out here, right up there. The horses are out of the barn. I was over there this evening talking to Tom Grath for 45 minutes before I came to this meeting. I just would like to know why it was pulled from the Planning Board Commission agenda the Friday, April 3rd, the day before it was suddenly demolished on a holiday Easter weekend on a Saturday, you know? So I'm just sort of bamboozled and perplexed. I just don't understand. Again, why it was suddenly pulled from the Planning Board meeting agenda.
All right, that's certainly a question for Mr. Graff. Raise your hands, Mr. Morgan.
My name is Watson Morgan. I live in Blauvelt, probably 46 years. My children played for OMM. I remember vividly that at the 25th anniversary of OMM, so I guess I've been around for when it was solely a recreational, fulfilling the needs of the recreation, soccer. During the season, we had our rubber chicken dinners at Bear Mountain Inn, later on at the Holodrome in Suffern, which is now a different name for various reasons. But it was a large organization that sustained itself. In the mornings, we did things like we took the responsibility of making sure the newspapers got the goals and we tried to make sure that the kids got recognized in the paper. They still do that to a certain extent for the rec, but we did that. We also lined the fields and took down the nets so the deer wouldn't get stuck in the nets overnight. So whenever there was programs, we did those things. This was a volunteer recreational thing. Now it's a business with all the accolades. The point that I wanted to make beyond that was a lot of communities all around the country, the Midwest, I've seen a number of I've explored a number of others, that they have a recreation district, and recreation takes the form of many, many things. And I brought to the attention of some of the people who were on some of the recreation committees and the young youth committees that they explore a thing called the Anderson Park District in Cincinnati, Ohio. And they take it upon themselves to coordinate all the different fields, it's more of a private-public partnership where the town has a certain responsibility and private people who want to use, such as OMM, such as FT, such as senior citizens who have needs and requirements. And I think this might be something to maybe explore, because we have this 2% tax cap, which I think should be explored even further. But I think there's other means of using our resources, and we have property, and there's, as you know, there's that the property, the one and the other one behind the property behind the 200 or 300 feet that is adjacent to the reservoir. I think that should be looked at very, very, very carefully.
I think that's what
Thank
we're
you.
doing.
I'm
Thank
done.
you very much, Mr. Morgan. Someone from this side of the room? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Deneen Dillon. I'm representing World Class FC, OMM, and Buddy Ball.
Could you just state your residence, please? Where you're from?
Oh, sorry, Blauvelt?
Blauvelt, great, thanks.
Okay. I am a resident of Blauvelt since I was 5 years old, 45 years. I hate to admit that. But I went to Tappan Zee High School, played on their soccer team. I played OMM when I was a child. I also was lucky enough in the short time that OMM did have a travel program back years ago. I was fortunate enough to play on that as well. What I do know is that for years and years, OMM has played on dirt fields. They've played on terrible fields at Tappan Zee High School right after the carnival left, and there was glass, there was debris, there was beer cans. I remember picking up the beer cans before we could play soccer. I remember playing at Veterans when there was just one field there, and it was never mowed. Our coaches would have to mow the lawn in order for us to play. That's terrible conditions. And we were so happy to play on those fields at that time. It was our time to play. We were very happy. Until OMM got approval from the town to finally put in the fields at the complex, there was no fields like that. Eventually, they put in Veterans, and that was a great complex. Our kids were ecstatic to play at Veterans. No glass, no debris, beautiful fields. And our town maintenance has kept them in perfect condition. The fact that there's turf fields at one field and grass fields at another should not prevent people from playing. Our kids at World Class would be happy to play on grass fields. Our kids play all at one field, and there's not a problem playing on a grass field. There's grass fields there. Our girls here play on grass fields, and they don't have a problem playing on those grass fields. I applaud Rockland FC. I think that you guys have done a great job. I just don't get why you would have to play at a complex where there's turf fields. In my opinion, turf fields are terrible. The more ACL injuries, it's 10 degrees, at least 10 degrees hotter on the turf field in the summer. And yes, maybe they do get to play when it rains, but in my opinion, grass fields are better.
Thanks for your comment. Way in the back there, sir, with the blue blazer on.
Good evening. My name is John Bellachico. I'm part of the World Team organization who wants to do a feasibility study on the microgrid. I'm also part of my company is Progressive Solutions. I'm a consulting firm to utilities and other renewable energy companies. And this is out of Stamford, Connecticut is my residence. I just want to touch on a couple of points very quickly about the microgrid. One is that other businesses in the town, in the district, as the feasibility study is being done, would be able to participate and see, as part of a feasibility study, see if it makes sense for them to be part of it if they'd like to. The other thing I wanted to touch on is when you think about reliability, you might be questioning in your head, well, the police station and the hospital and maybe other important pieces of the critical infrastructure that you want to include already have backup generators or other types of backup systems. And I want you to consider that when you look at technologies like microgrids and putting in infrastructure like that, you now have the ability to share those resources. So when you look at prolonged outages, you might be able to last even longer, right, without a diesel truck coming to refill your tanks, as an example. I think that will also help you from the efficiency side of things as you look to, power supplied to your town and all constituents as part of that grid, that you'd be able to share, if you have renewable energy at one location, you'd be able to some degree share that with the other locations that are part of the grid and save overall in power that you'd have to purchase otherwise. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that comment, sir. Hands up way in the back there. I see a hand with a white sleeve. Thanks. I'm trying to spread it around a little bit here. Appreciate your patience, and the comments have been excellent. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Spenta Kama, and I am a resident of Tapan. I'm here on behalf of Rockland FC, but my children have played in the OMM Rec League. I was a coach in the OMM League. And I guess I just wanted to speak to something Ms. Dillon was just talking about. And I think sometimes with this issue, it's not, I don't think, it gets perceived to be as an us versus them, and that's not what should be happening. I think part of the reason there's a question on fundamental fairness, it's not about turf versus grass. I think that I've looked at part of the OMM amended agreement with the town, and I wrote to you and the board members about it as well, citing parts of the contract and stuff. And I think the issue is they were given land by the town for what was, I believe, intended to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, something that would benefit the community, right? They said, we're this program in the community. We have a great sponsorship in the community. We're benefiting the residents, and we're attempting to help the residents, and therefore there was this agreement that we would give you this land to continue to benefit the residents. And the perception, whether, and we believe, Rockland FC believes it is factual, is that it is not benefiting the town residents. There was a requirement of the 85%, and that's not what's occurring. And I can tell you personally, and I wrote that in my email to all of you, I was at the baseball fields at South Orangetown Little League, directly across the street from the complex last Friday night for a game. And there was no restroom there. There was no porta potty, and if one was there, I wouldn't have used it anyway. I walked across the street to use the complex restrooms. While there, I saw teenage kids playing, all world class, none of which I recognized, no parents that I recognized. And on the way back, I counted so many New Jersey license plate. And I think that's really what causes the resentment here. And Rockland FC is saying, so we're saying, we want access to some town fields. We get denied access to vets many times. We understand that lacrosse and other programs need this access in the spring as well, okay, whatever the other programs are. But I think what is so offensive is that OMM, and to their credit, developed this field and did all this work and puts all this money in, but then has kids from outside playing and then comes to the town to say, we need more fields from the town for OMM rec programs or whatever else it is in order to have field space and have kids, town kids practice. And that, I think, is the fundamental issue. Why aren't the town kids playing on the town fields? And then Rockland FC comes and says to the town, we need some room for practice. And they're told, well, you can't have it, or we don't have the room. We have all these other ones, including OMM. And it's like, but wait a minute, if OMM has this facility, why aren't they already taken care of? And that's all I really want to say. It's not an issue of grass versus turf. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. Yes, sir, in the gray t-shirt. By the way, you'll notice, I think throughout this, the town board is listening very carefully, but we also have, obviously, our thoughts, but we're not engaging in back and forth. So that our silence is not necessarily always agreement, disagreement, but we're taking in the information. We appreciate what you're saying, and we'll go from there.
Okay, my name is Richard Kenny. I am from Pearl River. I, like most of the people here, been a Rockland County resident my entire life. Born in Nyack Hospital. When I decided to actually become an adult and buy a house and have a family and raise one, I chose Orangetown because it's a fantastic town. And this is coming from someone who lived in Clarkstown. I actually believe in this town more. I love this community, and my daughter played for OMM. I also coach for OMM. And now my daughter plays for Rockland FC. The bottom line is very simple. As board members, I believe that you probably were never made aware until recently that there is the issue with world class with the resident requirement. But the fact is now you guys have been made aware. You guys have to do something to benefit the people of Orangetown, not people of Jersey or Connecticut, the people of Orangetown. Now you are aware there is an issue. Whether you decide that you want to make a group, which has been mentioned several times, where I personally would be happy to volunteer my time on the Rockland FC side, or you guys make a decision upon yourselves. But the fact is that we have a right to use those fields. We're not trying to take the fields over. No one is saying anything negative against OMM because they did a fantastic job. Those fields are amazing. That's part of the reason why we need to use them. We don't have fields to use, and we belong to this community as well. No one wants to take anything away from OMM, but they are not living up to their obligation. They're not living up to their requirement, and it's coming from former detective in New York City. The fact is a contract that they breached, and there's no reason why we should not be allowed access to those fields. We're not taking them over. No one wants to take them over. We want our children to have a place to play as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take a couple more, and then we're going to wrap it up because we do need to get on. And it's unfortunately the case that eventually we're just going to have to change gears. But the woman in the blue hat, please. And apologies to anybody who's going to end up having their hand up. But we need to. Yeah, we'll get Annie in there.
My name is Meg Salmon. I'm a resident of Pearl River. I'm not a fan of public speaking, so please forgive me. But after what I've heard tonight, I can't help but put my 2 cents in. Manny and I had a little bit of banter today on Pearl River Parents at Play. I respect the man very much. I've heard only good things about him, even though I do not know him personally. That being said, my daughter Carrie has been playing with World's Class since its inception as a travel team. She played with OMM since she was in kindergarten. That being said, I think a point that we're missing here, and as a taxpayer for the last 20 years here in Orangetown, nobody is talking about money. I wish that I had brought my town tax bill with me so I could see exactly what portion of my town taxes go to Parks and Recreation, because I can be certain that my World Class tuition is a lot more than anybody's percentage of taxes in Parks and Recreation. That being said, what I want to know is who is going to absorb the contribution financially that World Class makes in carrying charges for our complex if we are not going to be given that opportunity to run it. And I know that sounds very, I can't find the word, but
Business.
yes, business. Well, you know what I'm trying to say is I think we have to look at this from a financial standpoint too, because I know that that's your responsibility to me as a taxpayer, is to be fiscally responsible. I don't think that Rockland FC does not deserve a spot. I don't know this to be fact because I was not party to it, but I have been told that an offer was made for Rockland FC to become part of OMM. And the 85%, I'm not a lawyer, but the 85%, I think, contractually is being met under the blanket of OMM. Because there aren't, with all the children from the town of Orangetown that play for OMM, have to far exceed any New Jersey plates that you see. And those New Jersey plates are there on weeknights. My daughter practices until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I can't schedule a game before 1 o'clock in the afternoon for all of the rec teams. So my point is that I think that Rockland FC definitely deserves a fair shake in this, and it's not, like the lady said, an us versus them. We have to figure out how to work this out together. I feel actually almost torn, but I think financially, Rockland FC has to come up with a proposal how they're going to make up their percentage of what needs to be done for the complex. Thank you.
Thanks for that comment. In blue shirt, Mr. Manny?
Lorenz.
Sorry.
Figured you'd know my name by now.
I do know your name, Manny. It's,
So thank you tonight. Thank you for the kind words, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mandel, and don't start my time until I'm done thanking everyone. Just to a point that was made before, in their contract, it states, "All such improvements, once installed, shall be gifts to the town of Orangetown and shall become property of the town of Orangetown at no cost or expense to the town. And OMM shall have no further rights to such improvements. It is further understood and agreed that in the event of this license or any provision of this license shall be declared invalid, or in the event that the town shall revoke or otherwise terminate this license for any reason or no reason, OMM shall not be entitled to a refund, reimbursement, or other compensation for or toward any improvements that it may have made or paid for to, on or relating to the premises." That's first. Within 14 days of the beginning of each season, OMM will provide both the number of teams and participates in its league and its schedule of games to the extent then known to the town superintendent of Parks and Rec. As of 4/8, that has not been done. Residency requirements have not been met by this organization, and we know that. That's a simple fact because they haven't turned in their residency requirement compliance forms. That took me a little off track, so I'd like to get back to it. According to world-class literature, it has 800 kids in its elite travel program, 250 in town, 550 out of town and out of state. Less than half of Orangetown kids on teams. That equates to an average of 4.5 Orangetown kids per team. Average roster size is usually about 16. Again, they have not submitted their numbers as required, so this is from their literature. We have seen rosters, or I have seen rosters with as little as 2 kids from the town. Less than half of 2014 fall OMM rec games were played at the complex, as per the schedule on OMM's website. 100% of world-class games are played at the complex. 0% of U8, U9 boys and girls OMM rec games were played at the complex last fall. 100% of world-class U8, U9 boys and girls games were played at the complex. Prior to this season, OMM rec was only allowed to practice on Mondays at the Orangetown Soccer Complex. Our uncovering of this fact has finally changed our policy, but it has not granted more than one practice at the complex during the spring season for 1 hour. So, same amount of hours, just different days. Still not fair to the rec kids as they have not received any increased time. World Class gets 100% of practices at the Orangetown Soccer Complex, minimum 2 practices a week for 1.5 hours, some practices 3 times a week. Rockland FC has not been granted access on a regular schedule to the Orangetown Soccer Complex after repeated requests. A majority of the prime practice time is used by out-of-town participants. We would like to know the true percentage, but again, they refuse to provide compliance documents to the town. Those are the facts. Here's my opinion. Shame on OMM for trying to use buddy ball as a shield to protect World Class. As a member of this community, it saddens me that the leadership in OMM has steered it so far off course. I'm sure that most of us agree that the Orangetown Soccer Complex should be first and foremost for local organizations, whatever they may be, lacrosse, anybody, with town children who participate in local sports, who meet the town policy of residency requirements of 85%.
Manny, could you just wrap up, please?
Any outside organizations who do not meet the residency requirements policy should be considered guests. This community asked me to start this organization. I didn't ask them. They came to me because they were in need. These kids were in crisis. They had nowhere to play. I provided that. That's what this is about. This isn't about us and them. This is about fairness. This is about meeting your contractual obligation that they signed. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. That was well said. All right. I would like to, I don't know, it's up to the town board. My sense is that we could probably go on all night, and we've heard a lot of very important comments, and I'd like to have the town board discuss and move on with this agenda. So I'll make a motion that we end the public comment period. Do I have a second? Second from Divney. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. We are going to need a town clerk up here at some point to record the work that we're doing. Okay, great. Yeah, the folks will certainly take their time. I just want to say a couple of things. There's no way we could possibly address individually or as a group all of the issues that have been raised tonight. And there have been many very important statements. There also been factually
partially correct or incorrect. We're all, struggling to get all the facts of the situation relative to some very important issues. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for the folks that came out, and also the kids. Kudos to you guys. Thank you for coming tonight and sticking with us. It was wonderful. Would the town board like to just continue with the agenda or take a brief recess, or
No,
what's your
let's go.
pleasure? You all right
Well,
with that? Okay. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Sometimes our job is to sit and listen, and I think we've done a good job with that. We've definitely listened tonight. I have a note here from our town clerk that shredding day is on May 12th. Bring your bills and documents and so on for shredding. More information about that at the clerk's office. Also, if we get those two doors closed at the back of the room, folks can have their conversation without distracting. I want to note to the town board that included in your packets tonight is a copy of a request for proposals draft for the contracts which are coming up at Blue Hill Golf Course, so please take a look at that. The first item on our agenda has to do with the microgrid, and it's been fairly extensively discussed and presented. And if the town board has any further questions that I can answer, I'm happy to do that. But for starters, I'll ask for a motion. I'll make a motion for approval of this resolution. Can I have a second? You guys, for item number 1, the application for funding for a feasibility study for electrical microgrid or community microgrid. I'd like to make a motion for approval. Can I have a second on that? Any discussion? Second. Is there any discussion related to this? Questions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Roll call, starting on my right with Mr. Troy. All right, I'm for it. How about you?
No, second.
I did second.
Paul.
I had a second over here. Valentine. Mr. Troy?
Yes.
All right, someone's got to take notes here. Hold on. Okay,
Mine was yes, Andy was yes, Dennis was no.
Teresa, maybe you should come up here where we can communicate a little more easily. Doesn't work that great for me, frankly. Mr. Moore?
No.
Tom Moore against. Mr. Divany?
I've gone back and forth on this one. I really think that this is a waste of $40 million by New York State, because it's taxpayer money. So when we say there's no detriment to the town, there's no cost, our taxpayers are paying that $40 million. But, I mean, I've gone back and forth on this, but, and, at the end of the day, if we don't go for it, then we're just, we're leaving it to other towns to take money that maybe we can get back into our coffers. So begrudgingly, I'm going to vote for it.
All right, so we have 3 votes for and 2 against. If the clerk could record that, please. Thank you for your support on that, Tom. Number 2, this is the retainer agreement with AKRF Environmental to, as discussed before, present a new version of our application to Health and Human Services for green infrastructure down at the Homes for Heroes site. That federal agency needs to hear from us with revisions, and AKRF is the right group to put that environmental assessment and so on together. Do I hear a motion for this resolution? Anywhere?
This is what we discussed.
We discussed it before. Mr. Valentine makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Hearing none, passes unanimously. And Jim, thanks for your work on that. Hopefully we'll be successful and actually get that land donated. Number 3, this is appointing members to the Bureau of Fire Prevention under Mike Bettman, and there are 4 individuals listed there. Do I hear a motion for this resolution? From
Moved.
Moore, second from Troy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
This is adding a new member to the Fire Bureau, Mr. Tom Baden. Do I hear a motion for this, please? Move from Divany, second from Valentine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thanks. Number 5 is the Environmental Committee. And we may as well take 5 and 6 together. We split out the new folks being added, Eileen Larkin and Michael Andrea, to the folks who will continue to serve. I'll make a motion for that. It's a great group.
I'll
And
second it.
we have a second from Tom Moore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Number 7, this is a resolution memorializing our opposition to parole for Richard LaBarbera and Robert McCain, the murderers of Paula Boveski. Dennis, would you like to make a motion for this?
Yeah, I'll make that. And also on Sunday at the Pearl River Library, there will be a remembrance for Paul Boveski, where the Pearl River Orchestra and Pearl River Choir will be performing at that remembrance. And there's also petitions all over Pearl River to sign for this. And you can also do it online, too, on the Paula Boveski website. So I'll make the motion.
Second from Divany. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you for that. And thank you for that notice, Dennis, about that important community event. Number 8 is for soil testing of a piece of land that is being offered to donation to the town. Of course, we don't want it if it's contaminated. And this comes from a recommendation from Environmental Management Engineering to have some soil tests done. Thanks to Joe Moran for putting that together. I'll make a motion for that. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second from Troy. Discussion?
My understanding is there's $28,000 owed in taxes on this. If we took this as a donation, are we on the hook for taxes to the county and to the school districts for this property?
I think we would have to discuss the terms of the donation, because...
So is that a yes?
Not in my opinion. If we thought it was worth $28,000, then it might be a good idea. If we didn't, then I wouldn't want to pay it.
The taxes are a lien on the property.
They stick with the property regardless of who owns it.
Right, but we could tell the owner potentially that we would accept the donation after he pays up on his taxes or something like that. So maybe we should find out if we want it or not, and then decide what it's worth to us.
But we're doing the borings to find out if there are contaminants on the property?
Right, it's due diligence to make sure that we wouldn't be walking into a costly cleanup of some kind. Obviously, the reason why it's of interest is that it's forested open space right next to the rail trail and in an area off Oak Tree Road where there's a lot of flooding, and it may have potential for helping the town to mitigate flooding on the Sparkhill Creek and perhaps other uses. But as a threshold question, we certainly want to make sure that there's no history of contamination there. And then any further decision would be brought back to the town board. Is that sufficient explanation just in terms of the soil test?
So what we're voting on here is just the borrowings, not the purchase.
Just
However,
soil
I would have
test.
thought that as we're going through this, we would have come to an agreement with the current landowner that they were going to pay the back taxes. We should have known that by now, otherwise we wouldn't go through the $3,500.
If you want to make that...
I may begrudgingly say okay. Hopefully we're not wasting $3,500 if the owner comes back and says, well, no, you guys have to pay the taxes on
You know, there's probably not only the taxes, but various other factors as well. So all of that, I think, would need to be considered by the town board and our engineering department before we
So what are you saying,
go
there may be
forward.
more than $28,000 expenses for the town?
We can sit here and speculate, but my point is that this resolution is about soil tests, and all those other questions would need to be answered as they're brought up. And this question about
Well-
taxes is one of them. So
I wouldn't call it speculation, I'd call it estimating. If there was a top side of a large amount of money possibly coming out of the town, we wouldn't waste the $3,500 to do the study. We should at least have an estimate on where we're going. But evidently, we don't. But in the meantime, I'm probably going to support this to make it go forward, but we got to get the data.
your questions are well respected and received, and certainly when the matter was discussed at the workshop, you know, we could start looking for answers to questions. And we don't want to make a decision without answering all of the questions. So the question before us right now is, do we want to do soil tests?
If the property is clear of contaminants, for $28,000 to buy almost 15 acres of property, even to keep it for open land or for future drainage projects, because it is in a wet area, it's a good investment.
John,
Could
I
be a
just
great
gotta,
deal.
But
John,
if it's wetland, we can't use it, he can't use it,
But we
whoever
can
the
use it
person
for
owns it.
drainage.
John,
use
do you
it
know, has the tax lien re-levied to the county, probably? Do we know how many years they're back in taxes?
I looked at, tried to No, I don't. I tried to, I looked to see how many years. They were re-levied by the county.
All right.
So the town has been paid those taxes.
We've been
Now
made
they're-
whole.
Yeah, they're now due and owing, you know, by the owner to the county, which the lien will go with the conveyance, so. I really don't know whether 28,000 on vacant, I mean, we have an appraisal, I think, you know, for $1 million something, right?
No,
So the.
all right, so
They
there you
gave us
go.
a copy of their
Well,
appraisal. It seemed like
Well,
kind of a
you know,
high
I mean, I
appraisal.
don't know that whether that appraisal is,
For wetland, for wetlands?
Twice as much as it should be, it's still a good deal.
all I'm just saying is at that appraised value, the taxes sound like they're 1 year.
All right.
So, thanks for that. So we have, do you guys want to do the soil test and find out what might be out
No,
there?
no, it's just,
Yes.
Okay. I think we have a second on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. This is the petition for a zone change and the town board accepting it and referring it. This is the street over by Bradley Parkway with a couple of houses which are currently in a commercial area and they want to be in the residential. And it's been reviewed. And this first resolution is one by which the town board declares its intention to serve as lead agency for SEQR review, circulate the petition for the zone change to the relevant agencies, and so on and so forth, into our own planning board for review. And then the next resolution sets a public hearing. So can I have a motion on the first one, number 9?
I'll move both.
All right, both at the same time? Okay, fine, we'll consolidate them. So we have Divany making a motion both for number 9 and number 10, which sets the public hearing date. And
I'll second.
we got a second from Dennis Troy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thanks. I'll note also that in your packets, there was the environmental assessment form, which is part of the basis for that SEQR review. Number 11, and going forward, is a number of important community events. Number 11 is the Memorial Day Parade. I'll make a motion for that. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and that's assistance from the Highway Department for barricades and related. Number 12 is the annual open house at the Highway Department for May 16th. I'll make a motion for that. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Over here. Divany, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, looking forward to a great event, my first sunburn of the year. Number 13 is resolved a proclamation of National Public Works Week in the town of Orangetown. And we actually have the copy of the proclamation here, and I'll just note it without reading the whole thing. We'll probably present this down when the Public Works show takes place, presumably, which all the town board members will be notified about. But it's a very nice proclamation celebrating public works and public workers and their importance to the health and safety of the community. So thanks for that, Jim Dean, and we'll have that for you. I can't remember if we actually voted on number 13 now. I think we did.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Did we, Teresa? I guess that's your job. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Number 13 passes unanimously.
Moved.
Moved.
Move from Divany, second from Moore. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Number 14, this is show and bill for Rockland County Pride Day. and they've paid their insurance and so on and so forth. I'll make a motion for this. It's a wonderful event. Can I hear a second? Second from Divany. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Number 15 is the use of the town park rail trail for the bicycle race, Grand Fondo. Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution? Moved from Divany. No second over here. Second from Troy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. They're paying good money for that. We appreciate the Parks Department, the police and the highway and others who help to make sure that event takes place safely. Number 16 is rescinding an earlier resolution related to a showmobile application to the Nyack Chamber of Commerce. And I'll make a motion for that. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Thank you very much. Number 17, this is the approval of an appointment of William Ivers as Auto Mechanic 1 in the Parks Department, and that comes from Personnel. Thanks, Donna Morrison.
Moved.
Move from Moore, second from myself. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The next one, number 18, is the appointment of Anthony Bevilacqua, Director of Automated Systems, also from Personnel. Someone want to make a motion for this one? From Troy, second over here from Valentine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Anthony and Mike and Matt do a great job. Number 19 is right, that's police. We did that. These are registrations of sewer work. Number 20, I'll make a motion. Do I hear a second? Who wants second
Second.
sewer work? More? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this is the appointment of the electrical inspector, one of several, as I understand it, whose licenses and credentials have been reviewed by the building department. I'll make a motion for this. Do I hear a second? Second from Valentine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And by the personnel department, I might add. Number 22 is the survey of the town-owned lands along Chief Bill Harris Way. That and the appraisal, which is the next resolution, are both necessary steps for evaluating the land for transfer over to the Organization of Volunteer Emergency Services Committee.
I'll move those two.
Moved together by Tom Divany. A second from over here by Dennis Troy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And related to that, which we workshop when we got together last time, is this notice, which I have discussed with the paramedics, and they're part of the conversation, for sort of an orderly moving between houses. So this is a notice, just making it official, that they're going to have to move from one town-owned house to another one, which is just across the street. So I'll make a motion for this. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Moore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Number 25. This is approving a bid award to Entech for sanitary sewer improvements in Nyack in the amount of $884,093.75.
Moved.
Motion from Tom Divany, second from over here, who loves sewers, Tom Moore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. I actually visited that company. It's fascinating. They have this sort of synthetic tube that they roll out inside the sewer line and then inflate it, and it sticks and it plugs all the leaks. It's pretty cool stuff. And they're located down on Western Highway. Number 26 is a receive and file of documents by the clerk's office, and there are 7 listed. I'll make a motion for this. Do I hear a second? Over here. Valentine, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Under new business, we have several retirements. Number 27, Robert Spinoza and the Demi, accept with regret, retirement effective March 30th, 2015. Do I hear a motion for this? Over there, Moore, second from Troy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Spinoza, for your work for the town. Number 28, this is retirement of Stu Sharples from the Parks Department. Accept with regret, effective March 31st, 2015. And I'll make a motion for this. Do I hear a second? Over here, Valentine. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. I've already done this in writing, but I'll convey our appreciation to Mr. Sharples for his work for the town over many years. 29 is resignation of Lieutenant Lorraine Wetzel from the Police Department. This is effective April 4th, 2015. Who would like to make a motion for the resolution?
Moved.
Move from Moore, second from Troy. All in favor say aye. Oh, sorry. I have a motion for Tom Moore. Do I hear a second to accept her resignation? Valentine, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Okay, were you abstaining from that?
No, just wasn't second.
Okay, just want to make sure that our clerk had that right. And then we did Schutz, and we did Palazzola. Number 32 is the 3-year contract with Champion Energy Services to provide electricity to town facilities, which Jeff and his staff and the consultants really, I think, did a great job of shopping for the best deal for the town. And so this resolution describes that agreement, and the rate's locked in as of April 13th, 2015. I'll make a motion for this. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. More, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And when we do the audit, Jeff can fill us in on any specifics related to that as well. Let's see, there's the audit is the last item, I think.
Budget transfers. 34, next page.
I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're jumping over 33. Is that what you want us to do, Jeff? Okay, well, why don't you present the information and we'll take a look at it. Thanks.
Okay, tonight's audit for the town board meeting of 4/14/15 consists of 6 warrants for a total of $2,933,002.58. The first warrant consists of 2 vouchers for $250 and was a refund from a canceled show for the seniors. Second warrant consists of 38 vouchers for $147,000 for utilities. Third warrant consists of 1 voucher for $6,000, an arbitration award. The fourth warrant consists of 45 vouchers for $57,000 for utilities. The fifth warrant was 5 vouchers for $643,000, was for health, dental, and life insurance. And the sixth warrant consists of 479 vouchers for $2,077,804. Following items of interest: number 1, Applied Golf, $59,000 for the Broadacres contract. 2, Atlantic Salt, $93,000 for salt purchases. 6, Blue Hill, $20,000 for Pro Shop contract. 7, Capasso, $48,000 for recycling. Number 10, DeLagy Langen, $13,932 for golf cart leases at Blue Hill. Number 15, Global Mantello, $25,000 for fuel. Number 16, Helmke, $12,000 for snow removal. 18, Jolib Contracting, $44,000 for sewer work. That's coming out of the bonded money. Number 20, Lawman Supply Company, $17,000 for protective vests. 22, New York State Unemployment, $36,000 for unemployment insurance. 23, O'Connor Davies, $74,000 for the audit. 24, Persistent Construction, $77,000 for the Spark Hill Creek Bridge project. That's bonded. 28, South Orangetown Central School District, $47,000 for pool usage. And number 30, the State Comptroller, $27,000 for justice fines. Any questions on the audit?
I just wanted you to just update the board also. I know you've been working on getting the reimbursements from FEMA for sort of long ago storms and so on. If you could just let them know about that.
Yeah, just real quickly, we finally got final approval from FEMA on one last PO that was not properly submitted for Hurricane Irene. So we're going to be getting another $145,000 for that. And so that's a good thing for the town. Secondly, the 10% match from Hurricane Sandy from the state, which they have not done. I just submitted all of that paperwork today as well. And so I'm working on getting that. And so that, could be up to another $200,000 coming back to the town. So a little bit of good news.
Approximately how much, Jeff?
200,000.
Right.
In addition to the 145. So, and that's it. That's all of the FEMA money or state disaster money that we can expect.
No, I appreciate it. I know that there's been a rather painstaking and it's a gauntlet of applications and websites and reviews and paperwork collected from all the different departments and so on. And I appreciate the work that you and your team have put into that, along with the department heads who had to provide information as well. So thanks for that. Are there any other items, or can we?
Just a
just
quick
on-
question.
Is this budget?
No, not for Jeff.
Right. So do we vote on I think we need to vote on the audit. So I'll make a motion to approve the warrants that Jeff has just described. Or here, second. More, all in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. We'll sign that as soon as you give it to us. And then the budget transfers, Jeff?
Yeah, the budget transfers, you'll see everything nets out to zero, and this is reconciling accounts that were over budget or under budget. And we just got this from the auditors today, so that's why it wasn't on the workshop, but it needs to be done today so that we can obviously continue to process that. What we know right now is that we're going to be overall under budget, couple areas that we're over. Highway, 140,000 or so, obviously, all due to higher salt purchases and overtime related to the storms. Sewer, all related to almost 200,000, all related to the sludge press rebuild. Just so you know, we had to pay for that out of fund balance first. We have $250,000 coming back to us from a DASNY grant. We don't have that yet. The auditors won't let us book the receivable because we're not guaranteed to have it within 90 days. But that will reimburse that. But net for the whole town, and this is very preliminary still, we're looking like we're probably $800,000 under, where we're going to be. So we're going to use $800,000 less fund balance for the town as a whole than
what we budgeted.
Than what we budgeted.
Jeff, in terms of a process, does the finance department present to the auditors the adjustments and they audit and sign off? Or are they coming up with the transfers?
Well, we come up with them, present them to them, and then they audit them.
Right, okay. All right, so you have a pretty good idea, a couple months out, where we're headed?
We do have an idea.
Okay.
We don't want to, declare it because we want it to be official before we, give out the information and have it audited in case we make a mistake, which happens from time to time. On the electricity, I just the quote we got, and we're now paying electricity rates that are 25% lower than what we were 3 years ago. So while this process was a bit of a pain for a lot of people, it did work out in the end for the benefit of the town, and that's a good thing. We also have quotes already. We're going to have to do the same thing for the natural gas, which is coming up due in 6/27. I already have quotes back from one, and we'll see how the board wants to do that. If we want to do, the board wants to instruct me to do the same process, having both consultants go out. But we have very significant price declines built into that as well. So a little more good news on the electricity and gas front. So if the board wants me to use both consultants again, I'll set up a new bid and go forward with that.
Did your general feeling is it's a good idea to go with the same two consultants and have them working at the same time? Or
Well, neither one of them were happy.
Their happiness, of course, isn't the main.
That's good for us.
At the end of the day, we got more electricity supply companies bidding on the projects through the two consultants, and we probably had over 20 electricity supply consultants bidding by using two consultants versus the one. The only area where you have sometimes electricity supply companies will lock out one company or another, whoever gets there first. And if that consultant doesn't have the best relationship, then it's theoretical we won't get the best price. That being said, it worked out very well for us this time, and I'm fine with doing it again the same way.
All right, you did a great job with that.
I don't
vote on
know.
this?
I just got a quick question. The RFP for the golf course went out today. I received it, I reviewed
We distributed it for the draft.
the town
Right.
board. Question, does a bidder have to bid on all three, or they can build up, because I looked at it, it wasn't clear, can they bid on components of the golf course?
That's exactly the question that I asked Dennis Michaels about, and we've discussed a little bit, and I wanted the town board to advise on that. Because, and that's right in the beginning of the RFP. It's,
Who wrote the RFP?
it was, well, there's template RFPs that have been used before for,
Who wrote it?
I'm gonna tell you, Dennis, just give me a second, all right?
Can we vote on number 34 first?
All right,
Alright.
moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. All right, 34 side. The RFP, I believe, was generated in the first instance from the past RFPs, and it was edited by Larry Costello from the Golf Committee, by Eric Gorton from Park Superintendent, and by Dennis Michaels. And just to review each one, but I think that you know, it's important for the town board to review it too and flag
Well,
any
it is. I
questions.
got it today, but the thing, I didn't even know we were doing it. Eric, did you write any of it? So that's your input into this, that you did the original? Okay, well, I'll talk to you once I read it and see what you agree with and don't agree with.
I guess,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Tom's question, which,
yep.
Tom's question, which was my question also, is when we originally talked, we wanted one RFP for all three components, and the second RFP for two components, one being the restaurant, the other being the pro shop and golf course.
And then the other one.
But it's running the golf course, the pro shop, and the restaurant. So those are the three components. And then, I mean, you could have one just for the restaurant and one for the management and the running of the pro shop.
So there's golf maintenance and pro shop on one side and restaurant on the other. And I actually had put that in too. But then listening and seeing what other people were saying, it seemed like having it all one thing. Now, that was basically the question, that was the last question, and it was raised by Dennis Michaels, and we're sitting here, and it's exactly what I wanted the town board to think about.
But it should be you can also have three components, otherwise you're making the judgment before you're sending it out that you're outsourcing the maintenance.
And one question would be, if you wanted to provide all of those different options, you know, there's no revenues associated with maintenance, so that one would have to be a contract where we pay the vendor. You see what I'm saying? So how you break maintenance apart from the pro
But the
shop
thing is, you're still making a judgment that you're outsourcing those positions to somebody else instead of using town employees.
Well, I think that judgment will come once you get back the RFPs to see if it's
Well,
worth
that's
it
why-
for us to
that's
do
why
it
I'm
or
saying it
keep
should
it
be-
status quo.
That's why it should be three components.
I think that there is no third component. It's what we have existing.
It's the pro shop using the town employees to do the maintenance.
Okay, but that would be one component. The pro shop would be using the town, they can use whoever they want when they put in their bid.
But they really should, well, I would think it'd be smart to bid it both ways.
Or just provide latitude so the respondent can
Because
respond.
then, the only thing you understand, right, there's no revenue that comes from maintenance.
No, I understand that.
So
but
the
thing
revenue
is-
comes from the pro shop.
But that's a policy decision by the town, on whether you are outsourcing the maintenance people. You get rid of those jobs. And again, whether right or wrong, that's the decision you're making. And therefore, it should be, what is the cost to keep with town employees versus not with town employees?
Right, so that's status quo. So why do you need a proposal
I'm
for
saying
that?
it's one, because somebody, if you bid the wrong way on that, and the town board is leaning in one direction, then they're gonna be out of the bid. You know, which way you wanna go? You wanna go with the town employees or without the town employees? That's why I would think the smart thing to do for any bidder would be bid it both ways, status quo or not. They may partner with somebody else, with a applied management or somebody else, well, for a maintenance thing if they don't do it themselves. There's different ways of looking at bid. I agree with Tom. I think it has to be looked at.
Try to provide flexibility to the
components.
respondents, basically.
Well, I just wanted, no, I read it and I just wanted to get,
Yeah, because when we originally
I haven't
talked.
read it yet. I got it. I didn't read it.
I think that is, in terms of board role, that is definitely the strategic
Well,
question.
that's
And
something
you
we
could-
gotta
you could
decide
create
on.
flexibility for the respondents by
time dates, you gotta
having
figure it out.
options, or you just wrap it all into one. And I actually had it written one way, and then I got feedback, and it seemed
Well,
like,
You made up your mind already. I don't know.
I mean, it's just, we gotta make a decision sooner rather than later because we gotta get it out there. I mean, when we did the one for Broadacres, town board and the town attorney's office looked at it for, 2 months before it actually got out there. And so you're mid-April, so we gotta decide which way we're going and do it sooner rather than later. 'Cause you have what?
Well, yeah, it's for next year's golf season, but you want to try to get it wrapped up, and a decision whether we're staying status quo or what we're doing.
Well, if we don't get it out soon enough, you may not be able to go out for next. Because you're already,
April, you figure May, June, it'll go out by June, you take 2 months to get it, in
yeah, the
August.
timeframe
No,
is
but-
also described in the
thing
document too.
at
So,
the end of the day, it's gotta go out so we can do the interviews in July and August.
Yeah, it's got to go out as soon as we get it.
You know,
I think
it's
makes
gotta go out
sense.
soon, so the members should review basically that first page or so, which kind of describes the general approach, and offer any edits. It's definitely, it's a good question. It's exactly the question that we wanted you to think about. So please do that. Maybe we can just all agree to get back on that, as soon as you can. And we'll circulate, a final edit.
Well, at the end of the day, just so that we're a little clear, because it's not exactly this or the status quo. It seems to me you have 3 components, and then for the math majors, whoever they might be, there are permutations, there are combinations. So you can go 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3. There's more than 6.
Combinations.
Yeah.
There's more than
Yeah.
6 if this, you only take 2.
I mean, ultimately, it's it's almost the proposal sheet that you want to structure to say, these are the bids that are available out there. The town will make the decision which way to go depending upon the bids, but here are the combinations. So I guess what we need to know is what combination or individual component isn't on the table. I mean, at one point in time, I thought the maintenance operation was the primary driving force, the privatization, if you will, because
We have private vendors in the restaurant and the pro shop, and so, it just seems like we could just write it so that people can respond and basically choose and say, I'm responding for this, I'm responding for that. Hopefully that's possible to do that, if that's what the town board wants. All the options will be on the table, and the town is gonna evaluate them, and then negotiate what we think is the best deal with a preferred respondent.
more bids the better.
Yep.
So if that's, I mean, hopefully, we don't wanna preclude options, we wanna get to the best possible option. And so if you could just provide by email your feedback on that, make any edits that are necessary so that we could get the RFP going.
Okay.
But I think some really good work was done on this by Eric, Larry Costello, folks who reviewed it. Dennis Michaels, John commented on it. And I think we basically have one question left, and that's the one we're just discussing.
I just have one quick thing. We didn't mention it today, but today's your birthday, and I give you a lot of credit for sitting through 2 hours
Thank
of
you.
public session, and I just want to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, John. And I just got a text from my mom saying happy birthday, so that's very nice. That sounds great. Happy birthday. A little early on that. Anything else? Sure. Thank you.
On the flood mitigation, the Oak Tree Road Bridge replacement. Actually, tomorrow, they're going to be putting in the concrete beams, the deck, precast concrete, they'll be being delivered starting at 8:30 tomorrow morning. And there's going to be some traffic control that we're going to have to do on Main Street down in front of the 76 house, El Porticos, because they have to back the equipment in from that area. There's already been arrangements made with the police department. The highway department will have people there. Joe Moran and the DEME is going to be down there, and we have a consultant engineer that's there also. But that's getting us really, keeping us on track for our, the opening date. We're looking at, we should have this thing completed by the first week in June. So things are moving along. And tomorrow will be a big day. They're going to have a big crane there swinging these 9 precast planks, 43-foot long, I think 4-foot wide concrete planks. So.
Well, congratulations on that. It's exciting. When that opens up, it's going to be a party.
Everybody should get congratulated, yeah. And let's hope they get on there without any trouble.
Right.
I think we heard a little bit, but not much. Yeah. I think there's one new store owner on the corner of Franklin and who seemed to be very unhappy with it, but everybody else understood. And we're still waiting for the okay to go out to bid on that, but we're close. We should be in this summer doing a sidewalk reconstruction in there. Okay. And part of the reason we had to get in there and remove those trees was because after March 31st, we would have had to wait 8 months to take them down because of regulations related to a long-eared bat.
Yeah. Jim, quick question on them. You
Yeah.
still have like small pieces of log hanging from the wires. Are they going to come back out and take those out?
Yeah, yeah. You mean from the poles?
No, from the wires, like right in front of my office, there's 3 logs kind of.
Oh, that were tied in?
That are tied into
Yeah.
the power lines. There's 3 or 4 of them. Just
Yeah.
worried that, you don't want them falling on somebody.
That'll all get removed. We didn't remove any trees up there? Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure. I'll look into that. It wasn't part of this project, but if we took a tree down up there, yes, the stump will get removed. All right, we'll double check that. Yeah.
Thanks, Jim. Any other questions for town staff or comments? We do have a couple of adjournments, actually. Hold on. So I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting in the memory of 3 individuals and town board members when we want to speak to them. Nicholas Vigiano, Jean Henthorn, and Kelsey Graham, who is
So-
South Nyack resident, who will be much missed.
Yeah, so moved. Add John Smith.
John Smith.
John Smith, there was Deacon John Smith from St. Aidan's. Now, well, he was living in Delaware, but his son lives in Tapan, who's also John Smith.
And then we'll add my wife's sister, Tracy Lees, Lees. A deadhead person who left too early.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Nick Vigiano was a big, a Blowout resident who was also big with the American Legion Post, with the American Legion, and the Warren Demiola post. So he was a local guy, a really good guy, and be sorely missed.
In their names, we close this meeting. Thank you very much. Is it Tracy with, is it just Y or EY?